In the valley, the sultry, twisting heat waves kept blowing by, making everyone feel a little bit hot. But at this moment, everyone present seemed to have arrived at the Arctic ice sheet at tens of degrees below zero. A bone-chilling chill suddenly rose from the soles of everyone's feet and spread throughout everyone's body in an instant. "It's so scary." Everyone looked at Brought with fear in their eyes, and sweat quietly seeped out from their foreheads and then slid down. Previously, Longtua and Hadaway were both 9th level high-level Holy Spirit Masters, and the auras exuded by them were definitely not comparable to those who had just entered the 9th level high-level Holy Spirit Masters, even at the 9th level. Among high-level Holy Spirit Masters, they are definitely extremely powerful beings, but before no one saw Brought making any moves. Everything happened without warning, but Longtua and Hadaway directly fallen. Moreover, what Brought said before also made everyone confused. The day of the god's birth is aimed at the powerful people of this plane. As for outsiders, they are not eligible to participate and will be wiped out. What does this sentence mean? Outsiders, what do outsiders mean? Everyone was confused and their eyes were full of confusion. It fell on Atkinson Tower Master, who was walking with Longtua before. The master of Atkinson Tower turned pale with fright, and his robes were soaked with sweat. Longtua and Hadaway found the spiritual master tower 2 months ago. They are said to be powerful men who have been cultivating in secret on the mainland. They have admired his name for a long time. Now that the birthday of the god is about to begin, the two of them are also about to participate in the god's birthday. On the day of his birthday, he came to visit and prepared to attend together. Atkinson saw that the strength of the two people was indeed extraordinary. In order to make the spiritual master tower more powerful on the day of the god's birthday, he warmly entertained and tried to recruit them. As for the true origin of the two, Atkinson himself did not know. Everything that happened now, Atkinson suddenly panicked. Broat Gale Atkinson looked pale and hurriedly wanted to explain. "Okay, everyone, continue to follow me." Brought's expression was indifferent, and he spoke casually as if he had done nothing before. He even ignored Atkinson Tower Master and directly led everyone towards the interior of the valley. Huh. Instead of being dissatisfied, Master Atkinson let out a long breath. In fact, he did not dare to have any dissatisfaction. Each of the strong men had respectful expressions and followed Brought directly into the depths of the valley. In a dense jungle in the eastern part of the distant continent, a spiritual beast with golden blood slowly appeared on the bonfire. Now it had been skinned and roasted on the flames. Around them, several strong men were sitting cross-legged, with amazing auras emanating from their bodies. Suddenly Longtua and Hadaway are dead. The white-haired old man in the lead stood up abruptly, with a hint of horror in his eyes. What? On the side, several other strong men suddenly stood up and shouted in surprise. The white-haired old man stretched out his right hand and 2 jade tablets suddenly appeared in his hand. These 2 jade tablets were originally shiny, but now they were extremely dim, as if they had lost their vitality. Bang! There was a slight explosion on the jade plaque, and countless cracks appeared on it. Then the 2 jade plaques turned into green powder and were blown away by the wind. Soon, what happened? Several strong men were shocked. The white-haired old man also frowned deeply. It's too fast. Today is the day when the birthday of the god begins. I have always had a trace of my consciousness staying on the jade plaques of the two of them. I was not allowed to have any reaction before. The soul aura of Longtua and Hadaway in this jade tablet has been wiped out, and no news has been transmitted. The old man's eyes were also throbbing. This jade tablet was made for them by several adults before setting off to the stern continent. It was connected to their souls. It could not only detect life and death, but also served as a token for them to pass on news. However, before that, Longtua and Hadaway were dying. In front of him, no news was delivered, and he fell instantly, so fast that he had no time to react. According to the information passed by Longtua and Hadaway before, the birthday of the god is about to begin now. According to Ji Lai, before the two of them enter the battlefield of the gods, they need to send back the message. Could it be that the two of them, he didn't even enter the battlefield of the gods, so he fell? Theo, a burly man, said solemnly. It seems that the stern continent is far more terrifying than we imagined. The old man's face was gloomy, and he spoke coldly. Gareth, what should we do next? According to the original plan, while all the powerful people in Stern Continent are not around, sneak into the core of each force and destroy everything on this continent for tens of thousands of years. It is recorded to complete the tasks assigned by several adults, but everyone must be careful when doing it. The old man spoke calmly. Deep in the Spirit Beast mountain range, in the scorching hot valley, Jason and the others were following Brought and moving forward. In a short time, the valley came to the end. What appeared in front of everyone was a light door about 5 meters wide and 3 meters high. Outside the door, there was a red rice film, like a thin film, blocking everyone's progress. Hi! 2 red aurora suddenly bloomed in the eyes of Brought, who was walking in the front, and the light shone on the red light film. It was like a sharp knife piercing a soap bubble, and the red light film burst instantly. A passage opened, extending into the depths of the Red Mountain. Brought walked in first, and everyone followed closely behind. The passage is only 5 meters wide, and people entering it are naturally divided into groups according to actual conditions. The leaders of several major camps naturally walk in the front, and the personnel of each camp follow closely behind. As everyone went deeper, the surrounding fire spiritual power became more and more intense, almost reaching a feeling of evolving into reality. In fact, according to Jason's detection, the fire spiritual power in this passage had already reached the concentration of spiritual power is more than 10 times that of the outside world, but the strange thing is that the fire spiritual energy here has not turned into a mist or gaseous state visible to the naked eye, but is still refreshing. After walking for who knows how long, Jason's eyes suddenly opened up, and an empty cave appeared in front of everyone. Boom! The sound like the crashing waves of a waterfall kept reaching everyone's ears. In front of everyone, a colorful light about 100 feet long, like a rushing torrent, rushed into the top of the cave. Unknowingly, everyone had already arrived at the deepest part of the mountain. This is like Jason's eyes suddenly fell on the mountain nearby, and there was surprise in his eyes. I saw that the entire cave was red, as if it was made of transparent red jade, exuding a faint red light. However, what shocked Jason was the interior of the red jade. Inside, there were countless tiny, like swimming dragons. Red thin line. This is red dragon crystal? The entire mountain is actually made up of the extremely rare 9th level red dragon crystal. Okay, everyone, this rainbow light is the passage to the battlefield of the gods. I think many people here know the rules. I will say it again. The battlefield of the gods is the battlefield of the ancient gods. There are many dangers in it. There are all kinds of terrifying creatures entrenched there, the weakest among them is at least equivalent to a 9th level holy beast, and the strongest among them even a god-level existence. God-level existence. Everyone was shocked. They had already seen Brought's strength before. While talking and laughing, the 9th level high-level Holy Spirit Master was wiped out in ashes. With a god-level existence, is it possible for them to break through? Lot looked at the shocked people and said with a smile, "Of course, you are not guaranteed to die in this battlefield of the gods. It depends on your luck. The danger is great, and the rewards are also great. There are a large number of ancient spirits in the battlefield of the gods. God's treasures, such as artifacts, exercises, elixirs, divine tablets, etc., at the deepest level, there are even complete divine chains of laws." Whoops! After listening to the God's law fragments and the God's chain of laws, everyone's breathing became a little faster. The main purpose of looking forward to the birth of the God is this. The God's law fragments are a spiritual God's understanding of the laws, that is the deepest way of law. As long as they can find it, absorb it, and integrate it into themselves, it will definitely improve their strength. As for the law god chain, it is even more amazing. It is a complete spiritual god. Any spiritual master present, even a low-level 9th level spiritual master, can advance to the 10th level spiritual god as long as he obtains a divine chain of laws of the same attribute, completely absorbs it, and masters it. What everyone dreams of. Brock glanced at everyone and continued, before entering the battlefield of the gods, I will tell you the general situation of the battlefield of the gods. The battlefield of the gods is divided into 3 areas. Area, central area, and core area. Among them, the outer area is the place you will be teleported to later. There are definitely no fragments of God's rules in this outer area. Of course, the danger is relatively small. As you go deeper, the danger becomes more and more. The larger it is, the more you will enter the central area of the battlefield of the gods. There is the battlefield of the ancient spiritual gods. There must be fragments of the gods. As for the core area, it is more dangerous. Similarly, there is the complete god of laws. Chain. There was joy on the faces of everyone present. The central area contains the god's rule fragments, and everyone has made up their mind to at least enter the central area. But here I advise you, in this core area, even if it is the god, a super strong person will have a narrow escape from death if he enters. You must act according to your own strength, otherwise, instead of failing in your treasure hunt, you will perish inside. Okay, the battlefield of the gods will be opened for 1 year. After 1 year, all those who are still alive will be teleported out of the battlefield of the gods. That's all I have to say. Now, everyone, please divide into 3 teams according to your own levels. The 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Masters will stand on the far left, the 9th level Intermediate Holy Spirit Masters will stand in the middle, and the 9th level Advanced and Peak level Holy Spirit Masters will stand on the far left. Holy Spirit Shui, stand to the right. Broad announced. Split into 3 teams? Jason was slightly confused. Not only Jason, but the others were also confused. There was no such rule before, but on the day of the god's birthday, the rules were slightly different every time. Bisfam and the others did not say more. Huh. When everyone separated, Brat suddenly waved his hands, and 3 streams of light burst out from his hands, hitting 3 parts of the rainbow light, respectively. Suddenly, on the rushing rainbow light, 3 channels appeared. Through the channels, everyone could see the colorful particles like light beams rushing through the void. Of these 3 passages, the 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Master enters the leftmost passage, the 9th level Intermediate Holy Spirit Master enters from the middle passage, and the 9th level high-level and Peak Holy Spirit Master enters from the right passage. After entering the battlefield of the gods, the locations where people appear are all random. Of course, depending on your level, the areas where you appear are also different. There are restrictions between each area. If people of different levels want to gather together, it is impossible in the peripheral areas. Yes, you can only meet after entering the central area. Jason understood as soon as he heard it. The peripheral area of the battlefield of the gods is divided into many blocks. There are restrictions between each block and they cannot communicate with each other. The 3 teams of them will enter different areas in the peripheral area. Only when they enter the central area, the level will be different. Only people of the highest level can meet. Soon, the crowd of people in the cave was divided into 3 teams. Among them, the ones on the far left are the 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Masters such as Lanuigusan, Cassinus, Edmes, Caswall, and Monica. Among them, there are many strong ones among the first-class forces, about 3 of them. More than 10 people. The second team consists of 9th level Intermediate Holy Spirit Masters such as Jason, Wayne, Komaro's Deputy Tower Master, Elder Yerudigo, as well as the backbone of major forces in the mainland. Strong men of this level. It is the largest number, nearly 50. The third step is naturally the 9-level advanced and even peak Holy Spirit Masters such as Bispham, Atkinson, and Hyams, a total of 17 strong ones. On Jason's side, Bispham, McGrady, and Leona are naturally in the same camp of course. There is also Bosworth, a strong man who has not shown any signs. There are 4 people in total, accounting for a full 41%. It is a pity that the master of the palace, Philea, did not come for some reason that day. Otherwise, Jason's side would be stronger. This Jason, when did he advance to the 9th level of intermediate Holy Spirit Master? As the crowd dispersed, Atkinson and others couldn't help being surprised when they saw Jason standing on the middle floor. With Jason's skills and the ability to conceal his aura, Atkinson and the others did not find out Jason's true level before. They just thought he had broken through the 9th level, but they did not expect that in just 1 year after Jason's battle in the Cairo Empire in a short period of time, he was promoted from the 8th level peak to the 9th level intermediate level. Thinking that Jason had killed the 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master when he was at the 8th level peak, Atkinson Tower Master and the others felt their hearts sinking. The threat that they had no choice but to let go has grown to this extent without even realizing it. No, this time on the day of the god's birth, I must kill him on the battlefield of the gods. I can't let him grow up and get out of the car anymore. The master of Atkinson Tower was determined in his heart, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. However, the most frightening thing on the field was the deputy tower master of Jiaoluo of the spiritual master tower. Back in the trial place, when Jason was only an 8th level intermediate, he was able to make him extremely embarrassed and escape from his hands. Now, after being promoted to the 9th level intermediate, Holy Spirit Master Jiaoluo felt trembling with fear just thinking about it. However, while he was thinking, he suddenly felt a sharp gaze falling on him coldly. Jiaoluo raised his head and saw Jason's eyes as sharp as a blade, scanning his body, and then the corner of his mouth. By chance, she actually gave him a smile. Although it was a smile, when it fell in Jiaoluo's heart, it made all the hairs on Jiaoluo's body stand up, and a coldness suddenly rose in his heart. Okay, this time the birthday of God has officially begun. You all can go in. Brat said coldly, remember, if you don't have the strength, stay in the outer area. When the 1-year period is up, you will be teleported out. After saying that, Brat walked aside completely. Everyone, be careful. Everyone who was separated said to each other through spiritual communication with their friends, their eyes were quite solemn. In this battlefield of gods, the spiritual beasts and dangers are naturally terrifying, but what is even more dangerous are the strong men from different hostile forces. After being separated according to their levels, the leaders of the respective forces can no longer protect them. Only Bispham's side has an extremely indifferent expression. Jason is in the 2nd stage, and Lanuigusan and the others are in the 1st stage. What are they worried about? Under Brat's gaze, many powerful men entered the passage one after another. Hi. After everyone entered the passage, the 3 passages were quickly closed. In the cave, Brat looked at the place where everyone disappeared, with an inexplicable light shining in his eyes. It's unbelievable. 4 of your Lord's 5 elements spiritual beads actually appeared on that young man's body. The 5 elements spiritual beads are artifacts owned by your majesty. Spiritual masters below the divine level cannot absorb them at all. Its power is so great that it can be absorbed instantly. But even the Holy Spirit Master who can reach the peak of the 9th level, this young man and the saints brought back by the Lord in that great place, actually Brat couldn't help but murmured, with a hint of shock in his eyes. Immediately, Brat's expression became extremely gloomy again. I didn't expect that people from the God realm have already appeared on this continent. I don't know how long I can hold on. No matter what, I will protect this battlefield of the gods and will not let anyone from the God realm step here. Half a step. But soon Stern Continent will become a place of right and wrong. It doesn't matter if I die. I should have died as early as that year, but before the God realm attacks Stern Continent, I must kill Claire. Send him back to his family. Brat looked serious, and an invisible wind blew by. The next moment, he had disappeared into the cave. After Jason and others entered the colorful rainbow, they suddenly felt as if they had come to a magical place. In the passage, countless colorful particles of rays of light passed crazily around him, and Jason himself seemed to be part of them and kept moving forward. There was nothing around. None of the many strong men who had been following Jason or behind him could be seen. All he could see was the endless colorful passage. I don't know how long it took to fly. Suddenly, at the end of the originally colorful passage, an exit glowing with black light appeared. Huh! Jason rushed through the exit in an instant, feeling like the world was spinning, his body heavy, and he was already in a strange place. Whoosh! The wind howled. This was an extremely poor wilderness. Everywhere you looked, there was only a desolate and dark wilderness. You could not see the edge at the end, and above your head, there was also a gray area, without seeing the sky, and it was dark, giving people an extremely depressing feeling. Roar! Just when Jason had just calmed down and looked around, a roar like a thunderbolt suddenly sounded in Jason's ears. The next moment, a terrible spiritual power was like a volcanic eruption, and Jason's sense left back came with a fierce pass. A long black shadow, like lightning, was drawn directly to Jason's head. The air was sucked out and screamed. The strong wind pressure blew Jason's long hair up and pressed it on his face, making him asphyxia. Suddenly a black sword shadow flashed in the void, and there was only a sound of metal collision, and then there was a squeaking sound, a puff of blood surged in the wind, Jason's body shook, and the huge black shadow was knocked back by the earthquake. This was a ferocious spiritual beast that was several feet high. It roared in a low voice at Jason. Its whole body was covered with sharp thorns, shining with metallic luster. Its eyes were blood red, full of bloodthirsty and violent aura, and it was extremely ferocious. In the middle of its long tail, which was several feet long and covered with spikes, there was a huge wound. Several hands had cut off its tail, and blood dripped from it, splattering on the black gravel ground. Obviously, it was this spiritual beast that attacked Jason before. My sword didn't cut off its tail. Jason held the black heavy sword and was surprised in his heart. With his current strength, an ordinary 9th-level holy beast would be unable to take a single blow without killing it, but this one it was a ferocious beast, but Jason's sword didn't even cut off its tail as thick as a bowl. Then come again. The black sword shadow flashed in front of Jason again. The ferocious spirit beast didn't hesitate at all. It seemed to know how scary Jason was, and actually burrowed directly into the gravel below. But the black heavy sword swung by Jason was faster, directly creating a ghost in the space. Pfft! The black sword shadow passed directly from the waist of the ferocious spirit beast. The ferocious spirit beast was cut in half, its body was broken into 2 pieces, and it let out a shrill roar. A scene that surprised Jason happened. After being cut in half, the ferocious spirit beast did not die. The broken upper half of its body rushed into the gravel like lightning and hid deep in the gravel without any pause. Save looking at the remaining half of the spirit beast's body, Jason was a little dumbfounded, then shook his head and flew away at high speed. In Stern Continent, Jason has never seen such a spiritual beast whose body was cut in 2 and still survived. Fortunately, this spiritual beast did not attack him, otherwise, Jason would have killed it with one sword. Cut it off. If you think you have killed it and are careless, the one who is in danger is Jason himself. Wow. After Jason left, the ferocious spiritual beast with only half of its body suddenly emerged from under the gravel and quickly came to the severed lower half of its body, with the wounds connected 2 by 2. Chi-chi. A trace of black light emerged from the wound that was cut into 2 parts, and the next moment, it was reunited again. The ferocious spirit beast looked fearfully at the direction Jason was leaving, then turned its head and burrowed into the gravel again, disappearing above the endless barren black wilderness. The figure flew past at extremely fast speeds. I should be in the outer area now, but which direction is towards the central area? Jason flew over at high speed, thinking in his mind. This vast wilderness was completely empty. At a glance, everything was covered in gray. It was impossible to tell the difference between east, west, and north. Jason could only rely on instinct to fly forward. Although there is nothing around, Jason, as a 9th-level Holy Spirit Master, can still feel that there is a faint pressure coming from a certain area in front, as if, at the end of the endless front, as if there was some terrifying monster buried. The kind of heart palpitations that one could feel from the depths of the soul made Jason understand that the front area should be the central area. Tisk. Jason's figure passed through the void. He was alert and holding a black épée. Although the skilled man was bold, he was not careless. This is the battlefield of the gods. In ancient times, countless spiritual gods have fallen, and the spiritual beasts here are also all kinds of strange and dangerous. As Brat said, even the strong ones at the god level may fall. Jason will naturally not underestimate the enemy. I don't know where Comoros, Arudigo, and Wayne are. This outer area is too big. Even if they are assigned to the same place, it would be difficult for them to meet. Jason looked around and kept looking towards forward. In fact, although this battlefield of gods is large, with Jason's strength, if he is in the outside world, his spiritual consciousness can expand to cover thousands of kilometers. It is not difficult to find someone, but in this battlefield of gods, but Jason discovered that his originally powerful spiritual consciousness could only spread over a distance of tens of meters. Not only that, the space here was also extremely stable, and Jason could easily break through it in Stern Continent. The void, but here, even if Jason tried his best, he could only make ripples ripple in the void and even lose the ability to break the void. In such a stable space, even the masters of Bispham Tower and the others may not be able to travel through the void at all. They can only rely on flying. I am afraid that only god-level experts can break the void here. Jason was very worried. Afim. While thinking, Jason moved forward quickly. Except for the strange spiritual beast that appeared at the beginning, the rest of the journey was peaceful and there was no danger. Whoosh! I don't know how long it had been flying by, but the roar of waves suddenly came to Jason's ears from the front along with the strong wind. Jason looked around and saw only an endless expanse of black sand. On the Gobi, a big river suddenly appeared. This is a very wide river, cutting the entire area into 2 sections. The river water is black and rushing, and is blown by the strong wind, stirring up waves. The entire river was of unknown length winding to both sides. It was impossible to see the bottom at a glance, and its width was also extremely wide. With Jason's eyesight, he could only vaguely see what seemed to be the other end of the river at the end of the horizon. Why is there a river here? I don't know what kind of existence is in this river, so be careful. Jason's body was running with the spiritual magic, the earth spirit beads were spinning, and black armor appeared on the surface, and then holding a black heavy sword, he advanced on the river at top speed. Phew! Suddenly, on the river in front of Jason, a small silver fish flew out of the water, passed in front of Jason, carrying an afterimage with it, and then fell into the water, creating waves. Jason stopped angrily, and when the little fish disappeared into the water, he felt relieved and flew forward again. The little fish before was only the size of a palm. It was silver, streamlined, extremely small, and had a sharp mouth, like a sharp blade, glowing with a cold light, but there was not much spiritual power fluctuations around it. Like some powerful spiritual beast. Whoops! Suddenly, there was another sound breaking through the air, and at the same time, there was a terrifying wave of spiritual power. Jason looked around hurriedly, and saw not far away, the small silver fish from before was constantly swimming on the river. As he shuttled up and down, his eyes as bright as black pearls flashed with a trace of panic, and they rushed towards Jason. In the river water below the silver fish, a huge shadow that was more than 10 feet long was driving the powerful current rushed towards the silver fish. Bang! The lake water rolled, and the huge shadow rushed out from the lake. It was a shark-like spiritual beast, with a dark body and a length of more than 10 feet. Its bloody mouth opened wide, revealing 2 rows of sharp teeth. Terrifying spiritual power fluctuations dissipated from its body surface, and it gritted its teeth fiercely towards the silver fish. Phew! The small silver fish suddenly accelerated in the air, barely avoiding the sharp teeth of the black shark, and flew directly under Jason. Roar! The black shark missed a hit and let out a huge roar. Its bloodthirsty eyes instantly fell on Jason, and it swung its body suddenly and bit Jason directly. Get away! Jason roared and slashed out with his sword. Whoops! The bright 5-color rainbow pierced the sky and struck directly on the black shark's body. The 5 elements are born and destroyed, destroying the world and destroying the world. Bang! The black shark exploded directly where it was hit by Jason, with a wound several feet in size appearing, and blood and pieces of flesh flew all over the sky. The black shark roared in pain, and hit the lake with a heavy body, causing huge water waves. Water sprayed all over the sky, blood dyed the river red, and the black shark sank directly to the bottom of the river. Water splashed down from the sky, falling over Jason's body and blocking Jason's sight. Jason didn't notice that the palm-sized silver fish was hidden in a cloud of water above Jason. The waves splashed into the sky, carrying strong spiritual power fluctuations. In addition, the silver fish's body was extremely large. It was small, without a trace of spiritual power fluctuations, making it impossible for Jason to detect it. However, the small black eyes of this silver fish that had been filled with panic before were now cold, staring at Jason below. The water splashed behind Jason. Whoosh! Like silver lightning, the sharp silver fish shot directly at Jason, and immediately pierced Jason's neck. Huh? Jason's expression changed, and the black armor on his body was shattered. A fierce spiritual energy impact was directed towards Jason's neck. The silver fish attacked fiercely and sharply. The saber teeth were about to penetrate Jason's neck completely. Tisk! The black sword shadow passed by, bringing up an afterimage in the air, as if teleporting, and struck Jason at the moment when the small silver fish pierced the skin of Jason's neck. A heavy sword has no edge, and great skill has no workmanship. Bang! The small silver fish was directly thrown away. He let out a sharp scream but was not killed by Jason's terrifying blow. The silver fish flashed in the void and attacked Jason again. Sniff! As the silver light flashed, the small silver fish turned into a silver lightning and stabbed Jason quickly. Die! Jason's eyes were cold, and the 5 elements of spiritual power in his body completely exploded, and he chopped away. Huh! However, just when Jason's black heavy sword was about to hit the small silver fish, a violent wave of spiritual power came. The body of the small silver fish suddenly grew in size, and suddenly became hundreds of meters long. A terrifying monster, its body covered with spikes, shining with cold light, its bloody mouth full of jagged teeth opened wide, sealed a space, and swallowed Jason whole. Bang! The ferocious-looking monster fell to the water, with a hint of cunning in its eyes, and its body sank toward the water. However, before it completely sank into the water, a deafening roar sounded, and the surface of this ferocious monster's body dense cracks suddenly appeared, and countless blood spurted out. The next moment, boom! The ferocious monster's eyes were frightened, and he let out a shrill roar. His whole body exploded completely, and turned into a sky. Minced meat and rain of blood. A figure rose into the sky from the minced meat. It was Jason. Jason took a deep breath, his eyes solemn as he looked at the river where a lot of minced meat was floating. This holy beast is too cunning. It can transform into such a small fish and pretend to be attacked. Fortunately, I am strong. If it is an ordinary spiritual master, even a 9th level high-level spiritual master, I am afraid that even if it is swallowed, it will be seriously injured even if it is not dead. Jason finally understood at this moment why Brat said that this battlefield of gods is extremely dangerous. Just here the periphery hides such a crisis. But what kind of dangers are there in the central and core areas? Jason glanced down and flew quickly towards the other side of the river again. Roar? Suddenly, on the river in the distance, a shocking roar sounded, followed immediately by a roar and explosion, and a series of angry shouts. Is there anyone? Jason turned around quickly and looked. I saw a figure on the river in the distance facing off against this huge spiritual beast that looked like an octopus. It was fighting extremely hard, and its whole body was in a state of embarrassment and dripping with blood. Seeing Jason, a hint of excitement suddenly flashed across the figure's face, and he let out a loud shout. Jason, I am Hamilton from the Salem Empire. Please come to the rescue. I am very grateful. He asked for help while fighting and retreating towards Jason's location. Hamilton? Jason immediately recognized the identity of the other party. He was a venerable from the Holy Land of the Salem Empire. If he were an ordinary person, Jason might not take action, but the great sage McGrady of the Salem Empire, and the spiritual master Tower can be said to be an offensive and defensive alliance, and Jason will naturally not sit idly by. Who? Jason held the black center in his hand, and his figure instantly expanded, turning into a 5-color rainbow and coming to Hamilton's side. Jason, be careful. This spiritual beast is very powerful. It almost has the strength of a 9th-level senior Holy Spirit Master. We will retreat while fighting. We will reach the shore soon, and we will probably be able to shake it off. Hamilton reminded nervously. Make a sound. Sorry, brothers and sisters, I was delayed by some things today. There is only one chapter today. I will make up for the missing chapters tomorrow. Sorry. Hamilton was covered in blood, and when he saw Jason flying over, he immediately shouted a warning. Who? However, just as he reminded him, a sharp sound broke through the air. One of the tentacles on the giant octopus-like monster brought up a vague afterimage in the air and struck directly at Hamilton. Hamilton's face was suddenly horrified. He didn't care to greet Jason. He aimed the sword with a cold light in his hand at the terrifying tentacles and struck it with one strike. Chi! A sound broke through the air, and layers of shadows appeared in the void. Countless wind elements appeared and disappeared in the void. The sharp sword in Hamilton's hand instantly collided with the tentacles of the octopus monster. Bang! Hamilton's whole body was thrown away, and a mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth again. Who? Before Hamilton could take any action, the giant frowning monster suddenly let out a sharp roar. The sharp roar turned into sound waves and was directly transmitted in all directions. Boom! 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 As if hearing the roar, the river water at the feet of Jason and Hamilton suddenly began to boil. 3 black shadows exuding a terrifying aura grew rapidly. Then it rushed out from under the river. 3 giant octopuses that were tens of feet long and had dozens of terrifying tentacles rushed out of the water and came to the sky. They formed a square pattern with the previous giant octopus, surrounding Jason and Hamilton in the center. At the same time, countless long octopuses appeared in the sky. The terrifying tentacles, which were more than 10 feet high, waved wildly in the void, heading towards Jason and Hamilton wrapped in lightning. The 4 giant octopus beasts waved a large number of tentacles. At one time, hundreds of terrifying tentacles split the sky and covered the earth, shooting from all directions. Jason and Hamilton were instantly trapped in a huge tentacle prison, and countless its tentacles directly wrapped around the two of them. Countless tentacles intertwined with each other and formed a fleshy ball several feet in diameter. Jason and Hamilton are inside this big ball. It's over. Hamilton's heart sank suddenly, his face turned pale, and there was no trace of blood in his face. In the past, he fought and retreated. At most, he only fought 2 or 3 tentacles of the lucky fish. He was defeated in succession, seriously injured, and unable to resist. Now, he was surrounded by 4 octopus monsters at the same time, and wrapped in the flesh ball composed of hundreds of tentacles, Hamilton's heart completely sank to the bottom, and he felt despair. Who? This huge meatball squeezed directly towards the two of them, and the air was compressed and exploded. The terrible force was transmitted from all directions on the ground to Jason and Hamilton. The two people suddenly felt that it was difficult to breathe. This octopus monster has a large number of tentacles, and each tentacle also has countless squirming, suction cup-like fleshy mouths. These fleshy mouths are constantly squirming, spitting out streams of fishy-smelling mist, which makes Jason and Hamilton. Suddenly I felt tingling all over my body. Jason felt that his black armor was softening little by little under the corrosion of the mist. Although it could still withstand it, it would not be long before it was completely corroded. Ah! Suddenly, Hamilton let out a shocking roar. His eyes instantly turned blue, and a terrifying force burst out from his body. Countless wind blades appeared and disappeared in the void, and in Hamilton's hands a dazzling green light suddenly burst out from his sharp sword, aiming at the side of the meatball and slashing hard. 13 swords of overlapping shadows of the mysteries of the wind element. Sword shadows all over the sky suddenly appeared in the void. These sword shadows, like waves, overlapped and rolled in, hitting the flesh wall like lightning. Stupid! A deafening roar sounded, and Hamilton pushed away, and a large number of wounds appeared densely on the flesh wall. However, before Hamilton could feel happy, countless tentacles squirmed, and a misty light lit up. The dense wounds slowly healed in the process of squirming, and then completely recovered. This Hamilton's face turned pale and he completely lost his energy. The previous attack was already one of his strongest attacks. He was famous for his fierce attacks, but it didn't even break the innermost layer of the flesh wall, and it was rare for these octopuses to break open wounds. The monster was able to heal in an instant, leaving Hamilton in complete despair. Jason, I'm sorry for causing trouble for you. Hamilton smiled bitterly at Jason on the side. He didn't expect that there were 3 octopus monsters lurking at the bottom of the river, which implicated Jason in it. That's interesting, Hamilton, follow me. Jason, who had been observing silently and not taking any action, suddenly sneered. Huh? Hamilton was stunned. The next moment, he saw the black heavy sword in Jason's hand suddenly flipped up, and he aimed at the crazily squeezed flesh wall and slashed with it. This Hamilton couldn't help but be startled. My divine wind holy sword is a moon-level spiritual weapon. It is extremely sharp. Coupled with the unique aggressiveness of my wind element, it could not break through the flesh wall of this octopus monster. Jason wants to use such a heavy sword to break through this wall, are you kidding me? Hamilton couldn't help but wonder, but the next moment, his expression became sluggish. The black heavy sword in Jason's hand fell, and a misty black sword shadow appeared directly in the void, and then fell on the terrifying flesh wall. Under Jason's terrifying attack, wherever the black heavy sword passed, all the tentacles were broken. Stupid! A deafening roar sounded, and minced meat scattered all over the sky. Jason moved forward, and the black heavy sword in his hand turned into countless phantoms, wrapping Jason into a black ball and crushing him forward. Poof! It was like a blade that was rotating to the extreme, cut through the meat, and countless tentacles shattered into minced meat. Only a few shrill screams were heard, and a passage with a diameter of several meters appeared directly on the terrifying flesh wall, leading to the outside. The tentacles that originally formed a tight flesh wall and kept squeezing towards the two people waved wildly, and instantly dispersed, splitting into 4 lucky fish monsters again, looking at Jason with bloodthirsty eyes full of fear and anger. Humph! Jason snorted coldly, and his figure turned into a 5-color divine rainbow, aiming at the head of one of the octopus monsters and slashing it hard. Whoosh! 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 The octopus monster's eyes were filled with fright and anger, and he blocked the tentacles in front of him, trying to block Jason's attack, but it was useless. Like heat, the knife cut into the lard, the tentacles all over the sky were broken, and the black épée directly struck the head of the octopus monster. Bang! Half of the octopus monster's head was instantly shattered into powder, blood splattered, and its huge body fell weakly to the river, making a huge roar. Chi! Jason flashed continuously and launched a fierce attack on the remaining 3 octopuses. The 3 octopus monsters did not dare to resist at all, and rushed into the river at high speed. In the process of escaping, another octopus monster was killed by Jason, and blood gushed out like spring water. The remaining 2 octopus monsters rushed into the water at high speed and sank instantly. However, Jason still did not give up. He rushed directly downwards like thunder. Then he waved the black heavy sword in his right hand and smashed it hard on the river surface. A column of water rose up from the river, and an invisible wave spread down. The 5 elements arise and die, destroying the heaven and the earth. A shrill roar came from the river, and blood slowly emerged. Then, a huge corpse of an octopus floated to the surface of the water. It was lifeless. After emerging from the water, it slowly sank again and disappeared completely. "You escaped, good luck to you." Jason snorted coldly, quickly flew up, and came to the already stunned Hamilton. Jason, Hamilton's face was full of disbelief, his whole body was shaking, his mouth was so stuttered that he couldn't even speak. Hamilton has personally verified how terrifying this lucky fish monster is. With the strength of his 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, he can't even defeat one of them. He can only fight and escape. But Jason killed 3 of them in the blink of an eye, so that Hamilton could hardly believe his eyes. The strong impact wiped away his joy of escaping from death. "Hamilton, let's go, it's still very dangerous here." Jason glanced at Hamilton and flew towards the river bank not far away. The previous octopus monster seemed powerful, but in fact it was only as powerful as the previous shark monster. It could only be regarded as the peak of the 9th level intermediate level at best. For ordinary 9th level intermediate holy masters like Hamilton, it was difficult to fight against, but for Jason but it doesn't mean anything. You must know that when he was in Tian High Continent, Jason was Daniel's, the ancestor of the Divine Destruction Valley, who was able to kill the 9th level high-level master. Now, in the 6 months after returning to the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, Jason has been practicing hard. The strength has improved compared to that time. As long as it is not a 9th level advanced spiritual beast or above, it will not pose much danger to Jason. After killing the 3 octopus monsters, Jason and Hamilton encountered no more danger. They quickly crossed the river and came to the other side of the river. "Thank you, Brother Jason, for your life-saving grace. I will never forget it, and I am very grateful." As soon as he arrived on the shore, Hamilton spoke respectfully to Jason with an extremely pious expression. As a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, after such a long time, he has already adjusted his mentality. Hamilton only knew about Jason from some rumors. He only knew that he was an incomparable genius with extraordinary strength. He had personally killed Elder Radamandes of the Spiritual Master Tower, as well as members of the Kamikaze Empire. Several Imperial Guardians. However, Radamandes had only just entered the 9th level intermediate level. It was with the help of the Genius 6 and Wayne's Siege that Jason was able to kill him. It is said that several Imperial Guardians of the Kamikaze Empire Jason was also killed when he caused the catastrophe of strange laws and lost the ability to resist. Therefore, in Hamilton's heart, he always regarded Jason as an ordinary 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master. After all, Jason was older than he was young. Although he was a genius was just a genius after all. In the hearts of the older generation of strong men, there was some resistance and unwillingness to admit it. Now, after seeing Jason's strength, Hamilton is completely impressed. Jason's strength is really terrifying. Fortunately, our Salem Empire and the Alchemist Tower are on the same front, otherwise Hamilton couldn't help but sigh in his heart. "You're welcome. We, the Medicine Master Tower, and the Salem Empire share the same enemy, and we should help each other." Jason waved his hands calmly, while looking into the distance. "I don't know how far away the central area is, so we'd better hurry on." Okay. Hamilton responded, and the two of them flew towards the central area. I don't know how vast the battlefield of the gods is. The deeper you go, the more dangerous it becomes. The larger the space, the more terrifying the faint coercion coming from the air, like it was a mountain, pressing down on the two of them. This was the battlefield of the ancient gods, and the void was condensed. Jason and Hamilton moved forward. The journey was not uneventful, and they encountered 2 more attacks from spiritual beasts. But it was just that they were attacked by 2 spiritual beasts. With Jason's strength, there is no danger. Although these spiritual beasts are powerful, with Jason's strength, if he pays attention to everything and is not careless, there will basically not be any great danger. It was Hamilton just now. He was frightened on the road. Those 2 spiritual beast attacks were full of crises for him. If Jason hadn't been by his side, with his own strength, there would have been a slight possibility of his death. Killing the spiritual beasts along the way, eliminating the crisis, as the time in this battlefield of gods prolongs, Jason also understands the situation in this battlefield of gods more clearly. I don't know whether it is intentional or unintentional in this peripheral area. The strength of the spirit beasts in it is usually at the 9th level. Around the intermediate level, some powerful ones are at the peak of the 9th level intermediate level. Of course, the most powerful ones also have existences comparable to the 9th level senior holy masters, but they are very rare and almost invisible. But no matter what, those who can enter here are all as long as a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master acts carefully and is not reckless, the chance of survival is at least more than half. I wonder what the outer areas of the 9th level low level and 9th level high level will be like. Jason thought secretly in his heart. On this day of the birth of the gods, the battlefield of the gods is too mysterious. Once every 100 years, many strong men come in to seize treasures. The experience obviously has some purpose. Boom, boom, boom. Just after Jason and Hamilton had just avoided a danger, there were sudden bursts of huge roars coming from the front, and at the same time, powerful spiritual energy fluctuations were transmitted, which appeared in the perceptions of Jason and Hamilton. About 100 miles ahead, patches of dense spiritual 20 elements were tumbling. Several human figures flickered among them, seeming to be surrounding something. They were attacking continuously. Sui Feng could still faintly feel the wild laughter of those people. These auras. Hamilton's expression suddenly changed. The auras emanating from these figures were extremely powerful. Even the weakest ones were not weaker than him, and the 2 strongest ones were like rainbows. The anger is so high that it is extremely clear in this grey battlefield of the gods. It is obviously strong and fearless, and is not afraid of attracting nearby spiritual beasts. Brother Jason, I don't know which force these figures are. They are so arrogant they are not afraid of the powerful spiritual beasts attracted here. They are really arrogant. Hamilton looked at Jason and couldn't help but said. Indeed. Jason nodded. In this battlefield of gods, even he was cautious. These people were so arrogant that they simply did not know whether to live or die. However, in this battlefield of gods, spiritual consciousness could not spread, and the 2 were too far apart. Even though Jason had amazing eyesight, he couldn't tell which force these people came from. Brother Jason, what should we do now? Should we go around them, or go forward and see where they are coming from? Hamilton looked at Jason. Along the way, he had been completely impressed by Jason. Jason was the only one who followed his lead. Haha, Wayne, you don't have to resist. If you continue to resist, you will die. Surrender obediently, and I can leave your body intact. Just when Jason was about to speak, suddenly, there was a faint sound in the distance. Crazy laughter sounded, and soon there was a violent explosion and roar, and faintly, there was a subtle fluctuation of ice spiritual power in the air. Wayne? Is that Kara? Jason's originally indifferent eyes suddenly condensed, and 2 rays of light bloomed in his eyes, and the rampant voice made his eyes even colder. Let's go. Without any hesitation, Jason's figure turned into a stream of light and quickly rushed towards the place where the battle was. Jara? Hamilton's expression changed. This, Kara, is the Deputy Tower Master of the Spiritual Master Tower. Wayne, he knew, had an extraordinary relationship with Jason. It was obvious that there was a gang of Kara in the distance. People surrounded Wayne. The Spiritual Master Tower and the Salem Empire were in a hostile relationship. Judging from the fluctuations of spiritual power transmitted from a distance, the other party was much stronger than him. After this trip, he would be trapped in a tight siege and his life would be in danger, which made him hesitate in his heart. Hamilton, what are you doing? However, the next moment, Hamilton cursed in his heart, if it weren't for brother Jason, you would have died in the hands of the giant octopus. Now that the friendly forces are in trouble, he is just timid and afraid of life and death, so what kind of hero can he be? Hamilton's eyes were extremely determined in an instant, and he hurriedly followed Jason and flew towards the battlefield, but at this moment, Jason had already pulled him down a lot. In the center of the boiling spiritual power, 4 strong men stood proudly in the void, standing there, sealing the void. Of these 4 strong men, the most dazzling ones were the 2 in the middle. One was wearing a fiery red, luxurious robe, with an imposing manner. Yongrong, although his beard and hair are gray, has a ruddy complexion and has a calm demeanor, while the other one is a short and thin old man with an ugly appearance, wearing a brown spiritual master's robe. Although he is tall, he was short, but the aura emanating from him was stronger than anyone else, like a god king in charge of the sky, standing proudly on heaven and earth. Below them, 2 strong men were surrounding a middle-aged man in blue robes. They attacked crazily, with terrifying spiritual power that shook the earth and exploded repeatedly. This middle-aged man in blue robes was none other than Wayne. The 2 powerful men who besieged him were actually the Deputy Tower Master Jia Luo of the Spiritual Master Tower and the Great Elder Baki Kazder. On the ground under Wayne, there was an old man covered in blood, in a miserable state, with dim eyes, looking anxiously at the battle in the sky. In the void, terrifying spiritual power rolled. Wayne held the Dream Spirit Ice Sword with a cold expression. Around him, streaks of coldness escaped, and the void was frozen. As he waved his hand, freezing clicks continued to be heard in the void. His strength extraordinary. However, under the continuous attacks of the Deputy Master of the Spiritual Master Takara and the Elder Boji Kazder, Wayne's situation became extremely dangerous. His body was stained with blood, and there was a huge wound on his chest, blood is flowing, and the breath is disordered. Boom! Taking advantage of the moment when Elder Bojikarsted entangled Wayne, Deputy Tower Master Jia Luo punched Wayne in the chest again. Wayne's face turned pale, he spurted out a mouthful of blood, and said something like the violent roar of an injured beast. Haha, Wayne, are you still going to resist pointlessly? When you and Jason killed my spiritual master, Elder Taladamandes, in the Kamikaze Empire, did you ever think about today? Jia Luo man with a sinister smile on his face, his expression was ferocious. I will slowly torture you to death and let you know the consequences of offending my spiritual master tower. I will make you regret it. Jialua said crazily. Jara, Burki Kazder, you 2 hurry up, you are too slow to kill 2 people. I will give you a cup of tea. If you don't kill this Wayne, we will take action, but there is no how long will Gong Tian stay with you here? At this moment, the old man with gray beard and hair frowned and spoke to the Deputy Tower Master of Jia Luo of the Spiritual Master Tower, but his tone was impatient. Okay, Wayne, I'm giving you an advantage. Now that Isolde has spoken, just die. The attacks of Kara and Burkakaster became more and more powerful. The terrifying spiritual power, suddenly, wounds were left on Wayne's body again. Stop. Just when Wayne was in extreme danger, suddenly there was a thunderbolt in the air, and a 5-color divine light swept from the distant void and blasted towards the center of the battlefield instantly. No, it's dangerous. Jia Luo and Boji Kazder both felt the danger at the same time and did not bother to attack Wayne. They soared into the sky at the same time to avoid the attack of the five-color divine light. Huh! Just when Jiao Luo and Berkey Castor had just retreated, a black stream of light instantly fell from the sky and blocked Wayne's body. Immediately afterwards, another stream of light fell, and that black figures stood together. Who dare to ruin my good deeds, Jiao Luo? Jiao Luo shouted angrily and looked forward. At this look, he was stunned. It's you, Jason. Jiao Luo's eyes instantly became extremely ferocious. Jason, why are you here? Seeing the black-haired figure in front of him, Wayne was stunned for a moment, and then anxiety flashed across his face. How are you? Jason didn't answer. Instead, he focused his gaze on Wayne and spoke with concern. Senior brother why are you like this? Hamilton, who came with Jason, his eyes fell on the extremely embarrassed and bloody old man below, and he let out an anxious cry. Phew, the whole person flew over and helped the old man up. This old man is none other than the other Holy Land Venerable from the Salem Empire who came to attend the birthday of the god, Venerable Im. Haha, I really didn't expect that, Jason, you would appear here. That's great. God wanted me to kill you. Originally, I was worried that I would meet you alone in this battlefield of the gods, but now, you are asking for your own death. That's great, that's great. Jiao Luo looked at Jason and let out a wild laugh. Before entering the battlefield of the gods, Jiao Luo was indeed afraid of meeting Jason alone, but what he didn't expect was that not long after he entered the battlefield of the gods, he encountered their spiritual master tower. The most powerful master outside Atkinson Tower left no trace of fear in his heart. Oh, he is Jason? When Jiao Luo shouted arrogantly, those powerful beings in the sky also came down from high altitude, looking down at Jason, Hamilton, Wayne and others. Well, I didn't expect that at this time, someone would come out to save you. It's a pity that he is ignorant and seeking death. Not only can't he save you, but he will also die here. Seeing this old man, Wayne gritted his teeth. Are you a soul? Hamilton also saw the old man clearly at this moment, and his eyes suddenly jumped. Jason, this person is a soul, a supreme elder who lives in seclusion in the spiritual master tower. He is a strong man from the previous generation of the spiritual master tower. As early as nearly 100 years ago, he was already a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit master. He has extraordinary strength, but there was no news about him in the Spirit Master Tower more than 80 years ago. I thought he had died, but I didn't expect he was not dead yet. After so many years, I don't know what level his strength has reached. Hamilton explained to Jason with a livid face, his eyebrows full of solemnity. Hamilton? The current venerable master of the Holy Land of the Salem Empire? Yes, I didn't expect you to still know me. When I became famous, you were still an ordinary imperial spiritual master in the Salem Empire. I didn't expect that after so many years, you have actually reached the 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit master. You must have spent a lot of sweat and hard work. Unfortunately, you are going to die today. The old man said indifferently, looking at Jason and others as if he were looking at a swarm of ants. Haha, Hamilton, Supreme Elder Isolde has already reached the peak of the 9th level intermediate level. He is only a little short of breaking through to the 9th level advanced level. Even if he faces the 9th level advanced Holy Spirit Master, he still has a fight. With his power, it is your honor to die in his hands today. Among the 4 strong men, one who was slightly behind said coldly. Alfredson, Milton said with a gloomy face. The old man who spoke before was none other than Alfredson, a respected member of the Cairo Empire. However, before Hamilton could finish his words, Hamilton's face turned even pale after seeing the short and thin man in front of Alfredson. Hamilton spoke with shock in his eyes. What, little guy, do you know me? The short and thin man squinted his eyes and spoke. His voice was extremely hoarse, as if it had a kind of magic power, making people get goosebumps all over their bodies, and his green eyes fell on Hamilton. Hearing the old man's hoarse voice, Hamilton's eyes suddenly widened. You are Bowditch, the previous holy master of the Cairo Empire. Aren't you already dead? What? And your level of spiritual master? Hamilton's eyes were full of horror, and his voice was slightly trembling as he said to Jason, Jason, this old man is the previous holy master of the Cairo Empire. He was once a 9th level high-level Holy Spirit master. He was on the mainland. The master is known as the evil lord of demon hands. He has killed countless people. He practices a magic skill that specializes in absorbing the essence, blood and laws from the bodies of spiritual masters. However, more than 100 years ago, because of his bloody methods, he was killed by your spiritual medicine master Toby's fam. The Tower Master and the Atkinson Tower Master judgment of the Spiritual Master Tower were said to have fallen. Unexpectedly, they were still alive in front of this older generation of powerful men. Milton completely lost his composure. Originally, after seeing Sen's strength, Hamilton still had some confidence in escaping from here, but after seeing Isolde and Bowditch one after another, Hamilton's heart suddenly became filled with despair. It's rare. I didn't expect that someone would still remember me. Bowditch, a short and thin man, exuded a faint cold light in his eyes, and his tone was full of frightening atmosphere. At the beginning, Bispham and Atkinson, the bastards, surrounded me. It's a pity that they didn't kill me and allowed me to survive. However, I lost most of my strength. I fell from the 9th level high-level Holy Spirit Master. Now, after more than 100 years of training, I finally came out alive again. I haven't eaten the flesh and blood of a genius for a long time. I heard that Jason from the Alchemist Tower is now the #1 genius on the continent. It's really great. I just want to kill you, eat your flesh and blood, and rob you. With the essence, blood and laws, I believe I can definitely return to the 9th level, Jia. Bowditch looked at Jason with his green eyes, as if looking at a delicious food. Senior Bowditch, this Jason is said to be only in his 20s. He is now a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, and a 9th level elixir master, which is rare to see on the mainland in 10,000 years. A peerless genius, I believe in his blood essence and laws. Seniors will definitely like him. A middle-aged man wearing a black cloak standing behind Bowditch also gave a cold compliment, but this man is a sinner. The deputy mayor of Passalai. Okay. Bowditch nodded repeatedly, looked Jason up and down, and seemed to be drooling. He waved and said, I want this Jason, and none of you can snatch it from me. The other few, you can divide yourselves. Senior Bowditch, you don't need to do it yourself. With so many of us dealing with these guys, it's just killing a chicken with a sledgehammer. Senior, just watch from the side, and wait for the junior to kill this hero. Sen, personally hand over the opponent's flesh and blood into your hands, Senior. Lord Passalai said in a flattering manner. Little guy, I understand what you mean, but I want to capture this Jason myself, and torture him well. Only the spiritual master who is tortured to the point of death will have the strongest essence and blood, and the laws will be more energetic. Bowditch looked at Jason as if he were a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. A strong man like him from the previous generation was the former holy master of the Cairo Empire. No matter how talented Jason was, in his eyes, he was just a weak junior who could be needed as much as he wanted. Haha, Bowditch ghost. At this moment, Isolde on the side laughed and said, since you need to torture this Jason, why not do it for me? This Jason, once after killing an elder in my spiritual master tower, I also want to eat his flesh. In this way, Jason will be handed over to me, and the remaining Wayne and Hamilton will be saved from so much trouble, and there is no need for juniors to take action. When I deal with this Jason, you kill them both as appetizers. After I capture this Jason, torture him, avenge my spiritual master tower, and then let Brother Bowditch savor it well. I, Isolde, will be the cook for Brother Bowditch today, so that I can make up for the damage caused by my spiritual master tower to Brother Bowditch. Isolde's arrogance suddenly rose up. A burst of flames burst out, burning in the void, showing unparalleled power and momentum. He is a strong man of the older generation. He has profound attainments in the law of fire. He burst out completely, almost in a short time. He is a 9th-level advanced Holy Spirit Master with extraordinary momentum. With his own strength, it seems that he can kill all three of Jason, Wayne, and Hamilton present. Not only Jalua Deputy Tower Master and others felt this way, but also Wayne and Hamilton. After feeling the powerful aura of the other party, they were completely despairing. Well, he dared to fight with Isolde without any fear, but now, he had been seriously injured in the previous battle, and his strength was less than half, so he could not be Isolde's opponent at all. Okay, Isolde, you actually said that. I, Bowditch, will give you a favor. Why don't the two of us simply compete to see whether you can capture Jason first, or I can capture the other two juniors first? Kill them. Badiki and Isolde were chatting in the air, and they treated Jason and the others as goods, distributing them at will, as if they were completely certain to eat them. Indeed, with the strength of the two of them, the 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters of the younger generation are basically like mud in front of them. They can pinch them as much as they want. Among the intermediate Holy Spirit Masters of several major forces, there are only those like Emperor Yalu. Elder Gu, who has been at the peak of the 9th-level intermediate level for many years, can make them pay a little more attention, but only a little attention. As for the others, even the Deputy Tower Masters of Comoros and Kara Deputy Towers. And they didn't take it to heart at all. The juniors among the juniors like Jason and Wayne naturally didn't care even more. Okay, Jason, you heard it too. Do you want to come out and get arrested, or do you want me to take action? Isolde glanced at Jason and said indifferently. Jason, Hamilton, you two go first, I will stop them. Don't look back after you break out of the encirclement. Go to the central area to find Bisfamtalu and the others. I will break up the rear here. Don't worry, I will escape later, they can't stop me. Wayne rushed in front of Jason in an instant, with an extremely serious expression on his face, protecting him and speaking to Jason and Hamilton. There was thick sweat on his forehead, and he was extremely nervous. Yes, Jason, you go first. With your strength, it may be possible to escape from here. It is impossible for me. Brother Wayne and I will stay together. Remember, you must escape and find Mr. McGrady. Let he avenged us. Hamilton also said firmly, and came to Jason. At this critical moment of life and death, knowing that with his own strength, he could not escape, he also showed unparalleled courage. Oh? Are you discussing how to escape? It's really ridiculous. Do you think you have a chance to escape in front of Isolde? Isolde looked at the three Jasons and said coldly. Whoosh! Whoosh! A sound broke through the air, and Kara, Berkey Kasder, Pasolai, and Alfredson spread out instantly, surrounding the three Jason in the center. At this moment, Wayne and Hamilton's hearts completely sank, their faces turned pale, and they felt despair. Escape? Haha. At this moment, Jason suddenly laughed. With calm eyes, he stepped forward and came to Wayne and Hamilton. You two, stop fighting. No one has to run away today. It's just a few clowns. You guys are watching. Wait until I kill them all, and then we can go to the central area together with Bisfa. Master Muta and the others will meet together. Jason looked at Isolde and Bowditch coldly and spoke proudly. Brother Jason, you. Hamilton never expected that at such a critical moment, Jason would still have the courage and not want to escape. His strength was good, but in Hamilton's heart, it was simply incomparable to Isolde and Bowditch. Each of the two of them is comparable to a 9th-level high-level Holy Spirit Master, with extraordinary strength, especially Bowditch, who was once the Holy Master of the Cairo Empire. Although his realm has fallen, his past experience and legal attainments are still there, and his cultivation after more than 100 years, even a 9th-level senior Holy Spirit Master dare not say that he can be easily defeated. Now Jason stands up and wants to kill them all. Such big words make Hamilton feel uncomfortable. Real feeling. Wayne, on the other hand, looked at Jason strangely and frowned slightly. In his impression, Jason was definitely not a big talker. Seeing how calm he looked, could it be that he really had any confidence? What? Seeing Jason standing up all at once, so arrogant, saying such arrogant words, Bowditch, Isolde, as well as Kara, Berkeycastle, Pasolai, Alfredson, etc. Everyone couldn't help but be stunned, and then they all laughed, looking at Jason as if he were an idiot. Is this Jason so scared of us that he actually said such crazy things and killed us all? Haha, it's so funny. Indeed, who does he think he is? Even McGrady and Leona, don't you dare say such things. You all say he is a genius, but I think he is actually a lunatic. Too arrogant, he really thinks we call him a rare genius in mainland China. Is he really invincible? A genius is just a genius no matter what. If we kill him now, he will become a dead talent. Senior Isolde, please take action. We have to see if he is a genius later. What a joy it would be to struggle, beg for mercy, and kill genius. Bowditch, Isolde also had a sarcastic smile on her face. Boy, I've only heard of you before, I don't feel anything yet. I didn't expect to be so arrogant, which makes me very unhappy. Okay, very good, but arrogant people usually die early. I will let you know later, the consequences of being arrogant in front of me, Isolde. I will make you suffer so much that you will not be able to live or die. Isolde took 2 steps forward and sneered. Arrogant people usually die early? It's a very good quote, very appropriate. Jason looked coldly and glanced at Isolde and others indifferently. So, today you will all die. Looking for death. Isolde finally couldn't help it anymore. A fierce look flashed in his eyes, and a flame suddenly rose from his body. The endless terrifying aura spread out. He aimed at Jason and grabbed it with one claw. Defeat. Vulcan claw. Boom. A huge flaming hand suddenly appeared in the virtual official. This palm was more than 10 feet wide, with 5 varicose fingers, covering the sky and the sun. There were countless flame runes and mysterious laws flowing on it. Every finger was composed of endless concentrated flame elements. The light flickered and dazzled the eyes. In an instant, it came to Jason, grabbed it hard, and covered all 3 of them. There were bursts of explosions in the air, and a claw coming down. Void will be scratched to pieces by this blow. The fierce power is heartbreaking. Okay. When Jara and the others saw Isolde's sharp blow, their faces flushed with excitement, but Wayne and Milton turned pale, and their spiritual energy shook. He was about to rush forward and resist with all his strength. However, at this moment, Jason, who had remained motionless in the face of Isolde's fierce blow, suddenly moved. He took a step forward, his tall back trembled, and faced directly, he punched Isolde. Boom! On Jason's body, endless golden laws circulated. His whole body seemed to turn into a golden scorching sun, and his golden fists surged like comets hitting the moon. They rumbled and directly bombarded Isolde's magic weapon. On the claws of the defeating fire god. The great Sun Ba's holy kung fu and the divine fist are invincible. Jason made a rumbling sound in his chest, and his whole body glowed with golden light, as if he had turned into a golden god. This fist and claw hit the void, and there was only a loud bang. Isolde, the giant flaming claws that were unleashed actually shattered into pieces. Since Jason absorbed all of Daniel's laws, not only the laws of the metal system and the laws of the void that he practiced were absorbed by Jason, but also the great sun tyrant. The experience of practicing the holy skills was also completely comprehended and mastered by Jason. Under the operation of Jason's spiritual god technique, the Suanba holy skills performed by Jason even surpassed Daniel's own Desheng realm, punching out, invincible. With Jason's current 9th level intermediate strength, the ultimate mystical display of the Great Sun Ba holy art is equivalent to a full-strength strike from a 9th level senior Desheng Holy Spirit Master, with boundless power. The great sun bah holy art, such as what kind of skill is this, and why is it so scary? Why do I feel like it is facing the master of Atkinson Tower, this invincible and terrifying momentum? The claws of the defeat fire god were blasted at once. Isolde was shocked, her face with a sneer was instantly filled with disbelief, and her body as he retreated continuously in the void, countless flames collapsed, and the entire palm completely disintegrated, turning into fire elements that filled the sky and exploded. Die! Jason roared angrily, punched Isolde's attack, stepped forward, cut through the endless sky with a swish, came directly in front of Isolde, and struck out again. Punch out. Boom! The five-color divine rainbow bloomed behind Jason. The rainbow light shot straight into the sky, as if it had penetrated the battlefield of the gods and reached the endless void. In the void for countless miles, even the gray sky seemed to be shaking under Jason's magnificent momentum. Behind Jason, auras of various laws flowed, representing the laws of the five elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, shining and blooming on his fists. The aura of awe filled the sky, and the shadows of pairs of fists flickered in the void, evolving into avenues and laws. As soon as he made a move, he used the invincible operation method and artistic conception of the Great Suanba Holy Technique and Divine Fist to activate the Five Elements Law and create his own Five Elements Fist. You brat, do you really think I'm no match for you? Isolde, who was retreating continuously, saw Jason pressing forward step by step. His eyes were full of anger. His eyes suddenly opened, and his momentum surged. His white hair was all over the sky. In an instant, he danced like a madman, his roots stood upright, and turned fiery red. Endless fire glow bloomed in his eyes at the same time, as if in his eyes, small worlds of flames were shattering. The virtual god of the fire melting technique has arrived, the melting light shines everywhere, and the fire fist burns the world. Isolde roared repeatedly, and a kind of ethereal flames quickly appeared on his body. As soon as these flames appeared, the void in the battlefield of the gods was burning with traces of ripples. A tall and majestic figure of nothingness burst out from his body. Endless flame glory was released. Isolde suddenly became extremely tall. Wherever Jason was, he also punched away. Boom! Terrible coercion filled the world. Isolde punched out, and endless flame laws erupted from his body. The rays of flames in the void twisted and rippled, glowing with a beautiful aurora. You forced me to use the false god fire melting technique, and the false god came, which is enough to be proud of. Isolde's voice was cold, and her face was as cold as a god. Virtual god fire melting technique, Supreme Elder Isolde actually mastered this mysterious technique? This virtual god fire melting technique is a fragment of a mysterious technique inherited from ancient times. It is said to be an ancient one. The technique left behind by a god-level warrior named False God is extremely powerful and has been stored in my spiritual master tower for thousands of years. No one can practice it, but I didn't expect that it was mastered by Supreme Elder Isolde. The technique left by the god-level powerhouse False God? This should be a sun-level technique that has never been seen on the mainland, right? It is indeed powerful and terrifying. Senior Isolde is really terrifying. This kind of skill is perfected, mysterious and unpredictable, fighting beyond the realm, no one can resist it. If he waits for him to advance to the 9th level high-level Holy Spirit Master, I am afraid he can fight with the ordinary 9th level peak Holy Spirit Master, right? Seeing Isolde's false god fire melting technique after that, Jiao Luo and Burka Cast, who knew the details, suddenly yelled repeatedly and were extremely excited. Even Bowditch's eyes narrowed and his pupils shrank suddenly, as if he felt that Isolde had taken action against him. Amid everyone's shocked roars, Isolde's fist collided heavily with Jason's Five Elements Divine Fist in the void. Wow! Indescribable power spread out from the two fists that collided, and a great sound of destruction came from the world. The void shook in layers, and the power of destroying the world spread out. Everyone around him retreated involuntarily. If they were on Stern Continent, the blow from the two of them would have beaten the void to pieces, but in this battlefield of the gods, it only caused the void to fluctuate continuously. In the sky, Isolde's figure suddenly retreated away, but Jason, who was opposite him, remained motionless, like a great mountain, like a rock, as steady as Mount Tai. Only his robes rustled in the strong wind, and his height was high. Make a judgment. What? Isolde, who originally thought she could blow Jason up with one punch, saw the scene. Her eyes suddenly widened and she was extremely shocked. Jiao Luo and others were so shocked that they almost fell to the ground. Eyeballs. Virtual god fire melting technique? In the void, Jason stood coldly and proudly, looking at Isolde with twinkling eyes, and there was joy in his eyes. Yes, this skill is good, but unfortunately, for you, it is like burning a harp and cooking a crane, an ox chewing a peony, and a bright pearl cast into darkness. It seems that God deliberately arranged for me to meet you. He wanted this skill, to abandon darkness and cast light. For my use. Jason spoke repeatedly, and endless golden rice flickered on his body. Countless suns suddenly appeared above the gray battlefield of the gods. These scorching suns fell from the sky one after another, hanging on Jason. Above the head, this is the vision of the king coming to the 9 heavens. Jason transforms into a god king, holding thousands of scorching suns in his hands. Each of these scorching suns has infinite power, shines brightly, and shines the sky and the earth into a golden color. In the meantime, the terrifying aura of destruction of heaven and earth spread, shocking the world. The ultimate secret of the holy art of the great sun Ba, the gods support the sun. Jason said coldly. At this moment, he really seemed to have turned into a god. His brilliance shone in the world, and he aimed at Isolde and slapped him with his palm. Countless big suns exploded in the void with a huge sound. This was the gods wanting to punish mortals. When the gods were angry, the sky collapsed and the earth shattered. What kind of trick is this? The terrible coercion came down, and Isolde was shocked. When he was surprised, the terrible power had already enveloped his body. He could only hear crackling sounds, but Jason's big hand was still far away. Tianji, but the terrifying power it carried had already shattered the flame armor on Isolde's body, and the skin on her body cracked, splattering blood. The power is irresistible. How could this happen? Why is Jason so powerful? Fight. Isolde was almost knocked to her knees by the blast. The pores in her body were suffocating and she was unable to absorb the fire aura between heaven and earth. He let out an angry roar from his mouth, and blood with sacred runes splashed out from everywhere on his body. After encountering the blood, the flames on his body seemed to be doused with gasoline, and the flames suddenly burst into flames. It was a surge. A destructive force burst out from Isolde's body, and an extremely tall flame shadow suddenly appeared behind him. Virtual god fire melting technique, false gods undefeated fighting method. Fire lotus breaks the sky. Facing Jason's attack, Isolde advanced instead of retreating, rushing towards the sky. At his feet, blossoming flowers suddenly appeared. The flame lotus, countless lotuses rotated, merged with the last huge flame lotus, slowly rose in the void, and then appeared in the hands of the tall flame shadow behind Isolde. A terrifying majesty appeared, the flame lotus spinning around. He was lifted up by the tall shadow and blasted towards Jason. This fire lotus has a total of 8 petals, each of which contains endless terrifying aura. It slowly rotates and blooms. A terrifying pressure that is enough to make the world tremble bruise out of it and will completely annihilate Jason. What fire lotus is breaking the sky? Break it for me. Jason fell from the sky, covered it with his big hand, and slapped the flaming lotus directly with his palm. Countless suns in the sky exploded completely. In Isolde's horrified eyes, that the flame lotus was instantly exploded and turned into nothingness. In the void, Jason was unable to resist. He slapped the fire lotus away with one palm and punched the flame shadow again. Bang! 10,000 pieces of gold erupted from Jason's hand, and the flaming shadow of the void god was also exploded by Jason's punch. Jason was so powerful that he didn't pause. His palm fell down and struck Isol hard. Virtue. What? How can this Jason be so strong? No. In the distance, Deputy Tower Master Jia Luo and others were roaring, trying to get closer, but under Jason's terrifying aura like a god, it was impossible to get close, and Bowditch's expression also changed, and he exclaimed, about to intervene, but the terrifying power burst out from Jason's blast through the virtual shadow of the virtual god made it difficult for him to push in for a while, and he could only watch helplessly. Watching Jason slap Isolde on the head. Mary. Endless divine brilliance erupted. As the supreme elder of the spiritual master tower, Isolde was comparable to a 9th-level senior Holy Spirit master and practiced the peerless technique false god fire melting technique. Under Jason's blow, Isolde was actually photographed directly into a meat pie. Jason hit the target without any hesitation. 5-color divine light burst out from his body, and a terrifying pressure descended on the world. Jason waved his big hand repeatedly, and countless divine lights burst out from his fingers. It came out and enveloped the meat pie that turned into Isolde. Bang! Jason's hands were like 2 big millstones, using the sky and the earth as containers, directly crushing the meat cake that Isolde had transformed into. Countless flesh and blood flew everywhere, and the blood mist that burned like a flame spread out. Under Jason's control, he was crushed and refined. Refining the heaven and earth refining technique, refine it for me. Jason roared angrily, his divine power was invincible. Buzz. An unconcealable breath of terror descended on Jason's body, and a torrent of spiritual power washed over Isolde's flesh and blood. Under the operation of the strange black power in Jason's body, heaven and earth were refining. The transformation technique was suddenly displayed. Wow! Under Jason's full attack, Isolde's flesh and blood exploded one after another. A flame law that was several feet long and as thick as an arm appeared from the void and was fiercely refined by Jason. Boom! 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 As soon as this flame law was extracted, it exploded continuously, and the terrible law aura surged out from it, trying to break free from Jason's grasp. The 9th-level intermediate law is nothing to Jason now. Jason also refined it when he was in Tianhai continent and can easily surrender. But this law of fire is different. In this above the law of flame, a phantom of flame appeared faintly, exuding divine power. This was the mark of the technique left by the virtual god's fire melting technique, and it was unwilling to be surrendered. Humph, you still want to resist? Jason snorted coldly, feeling that the divine art of civil war and the divine art of destruction were operating at the same time. An invincible thought burst out from Jason's body. The invincible thought of the ancient god of war and the god of death directly blasted the remaining will of the virtual god into pieces. Roar! Jason roared angrily. After crushing the false god's mind, he controlled the heaven and earth refining technique and drove the flame law transformed by Isolde into his own body. Boom! The breath of the law of fire exploded in Jason's body, turning into a large amount of fiery red essence, which was absorbed by Jason. A large part of it was integrated into Jason's own law of fire, and most of the rest was part of it was excreted by Jason as garbage. The knowledge of the laws of the 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Master is actually not of much use to Jason today, and very little can be absorbed. Because many of the laws mastered by 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters are broken laws and incomplete, and there are even some wrong understandings of the laws. These wrong understandings of the laws are all dregs. They can be absorbed at will. Not only can they not be used, Jason's own law of fire is more subtle, but it will contaminate his own law, causing his cultivation to be disordered or even drastically reduced. What Jason can absorb is only the essence of it and the core power of the original law. The essence of these laws and the power of the original laws are not large in number, but they are better than nothing. What Jason really values is the virtual god fire melting skill practiced by Isolde. For a time, a large number of false god fire melting techniques and training methods were created. The secrets of the secrets flew through Jason's mind and were engraved in Jason's mind. There were also a lot of annotations and practice procedures. These were all based on Isolde's experience in practicing the false god fire melting technique. Jason killed Isolde, refined the law, and integrated it into himself. It sounds like a long time, but in fact the whole process only took place in the blink of an eye. Ghost, how could this happen? Deputy Tower Master Jera's eyes nearly exploded, showing his disbelief. Not only him, but the rest of Berkey Kasder and others almost suffocated and fainted. Isolde is the supreme elder of my spiritual master tower. He practices the void god fire melting technique. His strength is unparalleled and irresistible. Even a 9th level high-level Holy Spirit Master cannot kill him easily. But in GSN's hand, after just a few moves, was patted into meat patties, and no bones were left. Am I dazzled? Deputy Tower Master Jalua and others shouted hysterically, completely unable to believe their eyes and consciousness. It's all going to be chaotic. So awesome, so domineering, so mighty, unbelievable. Wayne and Hamilton were extremely excited and trembling, as if they had gone from hell to heaven. Next, it's your turn. Jason's eyes fell on Bodhi's hand, and a sneer broke out at the corner of his mouth. You think I am Isolde? Then you are totally wrong. When I, Bowditch, traveled across the continent, you didn't know where I was. Bowditch looked ferocious and screamed wildly. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Come and die. Jason was too lazy to talk nonsense with him, and just took pictures with his fingers spread out. Everyone, listen, come with me and kill Jason. Bowditch roared. After seeing Jason's invincible momentum before, he no longer dared to call on everyone. They took action together, and at the same time, the whole person was shocked. The originally short and thin figure suddenly became extremely tall again, and launched a fierce attack on Jason. Heaven-shaking seal. Bodic also struck out with a palm, and a large earth-yellow handprint appeared in the void, shaking the void, and the billowing earth elemental aura soared into the sky, shocking the world. Well done. Jason roared, his 5 fingers contracted inward to make a fist, turning into the 5 elements divine fist, which collided with the large khaki handprint. Boom. The large earth-yellow handprint was directly shocked and disappeared into thin air. Jason rushed out of the broken earth elemental cloud, like a god descending. The 5-color divine radiance circulated on his body. A powerful energy enveloped Bowditch, and he punched out again. Not good. Bodic's body retreated continuously, and the spiritual power aura that Jason had previously blasted through the heaven-shaking seal was still surging in his body. He tried his best to avoid it, but he couldn't dodge it, so he could only stare wide. His eyes, the spiritual power of the earth element in his body rolled, showing his experience as an older generation of strong men, who was once the Holy Lord of the Cairo Empire and a 9th-level senior Holy Spirit Master. In the blink of an eye, he punched 13 punches in a row. Each of these 13 punches was stronger and faster than the last. As soon as the 13 punches were released, the sky was filled with fist shadows. Strong winds and gray mist bombarded Jason and enveloped everything. But it was useless. A deafening roar sounded. Like a god, Jason walked out of the shadow of fists in the sky. His eyes were fixed on Bowditch, leaving him nowhere to hide. He punched Bowditch's fist directly. Together. Poof. Bowditch's right arm shattered into pieces and exploded, blood and broken bones flying everywhere, and he screamed in agony. Please give me a monthly pass, please give me a monthly pass, brothers and sisters, please give me 2 monthly passes, my little master is bursting into tears. Let's attack together. Kill this Jason. Giazeo punched Bowditch's right arm to pieces. Just as he was about to pursue the victory, a roar suddenly came from the 4 deputy tower masters of Jalua, facing each other. Jason also launched a fierce attack. The fastest one was none other than the spiritual master Berkey Kasder. A green sword suddenly appeared in his hand. A powerful aura erupted from his body, and endless green light dispersed into the sky. In the void, countless sword shadows suddenly appeared in an instant. These sword shadows were all extremely dreamy, with murderous intent, like a decisive blow, blasting towards Jason from all directions, covering Jason's whole body. The Wind and Frost Divine Sword attacks one by one with the ultimate shadow. Humph. Faced with the attack of the Elder Bojii-Kazdir, Jason snorted coldly, and the 5 elements of divine light suddenly bloomed in his eyes, focusing on the Bojii-Kazdir. Castor's face. Chong. A huge sword cry sounded, and the black heavy sword on Jason suddenly rose into the sky and stabbed forward. The terrifying spiritual power burst out, and the sword shadows in the sky suddenly shook away. After breaking up, Jason took one step forward and came to Elder Bojii-Kazdir, slashing down the black heavy sword in his hand. What? Bojii-Kazdir couldn't help being shocked when he saw that Jason had defeated his own attack with just one swing. Faced with the black heavy sword that Jason slashed forcefully, his eyes were full of fear, and his whole body suddenly shook. Endless green light burst out. Windfrost Divine Sword, Shadowless Sword Technique. Breaking the Void Sword. A sharp whirlwind bloomed directly from the long sword in Bojii-Kazdir's home, forming a huge cyan sword in the void. The sword rainbow, the green rainbow, was more than 10 feet long, trembling in the void, exuding unparalleled power, and collided hard with the black heavy sword that Jason had chopped down. Bang! A huge roar resounded throughout the world. In the face of Jason's terrifying power, the cyan sword rainbow, containing Bojii-Kazdir's full blow, was like an egg hitting a stone, and instantly shattered and turned into pieces. As fragments filled the sky, at the same time, dense cracks appeared on the body of the Wind and Frost Divine Sword in Bojii-Kazdir's hand, and then it exploded in an instant. An irresistible terrifying force passed through the black heavy sword in Jason's hand. Xiao Jian was introduced into Bojii-Kazdir's body. There was fear in Bojii-Kazdir's eyes, and his eyes suddenly widened. Bang! He screamed, torn apart, his body exploded, blood flew all over the sky, and turned into a pile of minced meat. As the great elder of the Spiritual Master Tower and a 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, Bojii-Kazdir was slashed by Jason with 3 swords, and the explosion did not even leave a body behind. Jason waved the heaven and earth refining technique with both hands and started to operate automatically. The blood and flesh all over the sky of Bojii-Kazdir was evaporated in an instant. At the same time, a pillar of law shining with cyan light was refined by Jason in the blink of an eye. With a wave of his hand, Jason directly drove the pillar of wind law into the center of his eyebrows and stored it in the God of War Tower. Compared with Isolde who was killed before, this Bojii-Kazdir is really too weak. At best, it is similar to the original Isaac Valley Master of the God of Destruction Valley. When Jason was in the ruins of the God of War, when he was promoted to the 9th-level low-level Holy Spirit Master, he could kill Lord Isaac Valley with a few moves. Now after being promoted to the 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, Jason wanted to kill a 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit like Bojii-Kazdir. Master, it is simply a piece of cake. Kill 2, and there are 4 left. Jason's cold voice sounded across the world, rumbling, containing the pressure of the avenue, making everyone involuntarily surrender and feel fear. This, heart. Not far away, Pasolai, Jiaoluo, and Alfredson, who wanted to attack Jason together, were all frightened to death and trembling all over. They originally launched an attack on Jason. The violent attack also suddenly stopped, hiding far away, not daring to get close. Although their strength was strong, they were only on the same level as Elder Bojii-Kazdir, or even worse. Lian Bo, the great Elder Kazdir, can't even take 2 moves in Jason's hands. With their strength, if they are targeted by Jason, they will be killed in seconds. Devil, this Jason is devil. How could it be so powerful? This is impossible, impossible. Invincible. Run away. Let's run away quickly. This Jason is too fierce. If we continue, we will all die here. Go to the central area quickly and tell Master Atkinson Tower to kill him. Pasolai and others shouted in panic. Under Jason's strong attack, they all had the intention of retreating. Back off. Even Bowditch yelled. The previous fight with Jason made him know that he had met a real master, so he roared and retreated. Bowditch, didn't you say you wanted to capture me and torture me? Don't you like to absorb the essence and blood of geniuses the most? You were so arrogant just now, why are you running away like a lost dog now? Jason sneered repeatedly and buzzed twice. The water space in the body and the forbidden spirit realm were used at the same time, sealing off a world and wrapping Bowditch and others. Bodic was so angry that he almost vomited blood. As the last holy lord of the Cairo Empire, he had such a noble status. He ruled the world and was invincible. He ran rampant in the world and met few opponents. However, because he was too unscrupulous back then, he was defeated by Bispham and Atkinson, suppressed them together and suffered a big loss. Now, after practicing for more than 100 years, he was ambitious and determined to come back again. He was ready to break through the 9th level in this battlefield of the gods and return to the top of the continent. However, he encountered a hero. Sen once again suffered a big loss from one MO, and was even said to be a big loser by Jason. The aggrieved feeling in his heart almost made him spurt blood. Today, none of you can leave. Jason sealed the void, glanced across the remaining 4 people, swung the black heavy sword in his hand, and took action again against Bowditch, the most powerful among them. Kill everyone, don't retreat. Let's attack together and kill this Jason. I don't believe that Jason, with his 3 heads and 6 arms, can stop our attack. Under Jason's water space and forbidden spirit realm, Bowditch, suddenly feeling that the efficiency of absorbing the spiritual power of the earth element between heaven and earth was greatly weakened, he couldn't help but be shocked. Knowing that if he ran away at this moment, he would definitely not be able to escape. He roared repeatedly and called on everyone to take action. As Bowditch roared repeatedly, the black heavy sword in Jason's hand had already arrived in front of him. Roar! Bowditch roared, and his body burst into earth-yellow light. He suddenly became extremely tall and fiercely fought with Jason. Ah! A scream sounded. Under Jason's heroic attack, Bowditch was thrown away like a tattered cloth bag, and blood spurted out from his mouth. There were cracks everywhere on his body, and blood spurted out like a fountain. Extremely embarrassed, almost out of his mind. Boom! At this moment, the 3 Jiaoluo people, knowing that they could not escape, also launched the most violent attack on Jason. The terrifying attack came to Jason in an instant. The boundless spirit 20 elements spread out between heaven and earth, and the terrifying coercion shocked the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The world was filled with mist, and the winter-colored torrent of spiritual power filled the world, destroyed the world, and enveloped Jason fiercely, swallowing Jason whole at once. Okay, continue to attack, don't hold back. Jiaoluo roared, with a ferocious face, and the deputy city lord of Sin City Pasolai, Venerable Alfredson of the Cairo Empire, desperately launched a violent storm towards Jason's location. A similar attack. Sword rainbows, spiritual light, and torrents of elements seemed to be poured into it desperately. The deafening roar resounded throughout the world. The terrifying pressure dispersed. Jason was completely swallowed up and could not be seen at all. When Jiaoluo and others saw this scene, they couldn't help but feel happy in their hearts. Meow. However, before they could relax, a cold snort suddenly sounded, and the terrifying spirit 20 elements in the sky were suddenly shaken away, and an irresistible force spewed out from it. Under the impact of the force, his body shook violently and was instantly thrown away, with blood spurting out of his mouth. Jason was like a god, tearing apart the spiritual curtain from the explosion and walking out, with 5 colors of divine light blooming from his body, without any scars at all. Death. As soon as he appeared, his eyes fell on Bowditch, and the black heavy sword slashed again, turning into a black angry dragon and slashing towards him. I'll fight you. Bowditch, who was seriously injured and almost died, roared, blood dripping from his eyes, and a strange force appeared from his body, instantly covering Jason. If the underworld is released to the extreme north of the earth, it will be. As Bowditch roared, Jason suddenly felt a strange force envelope him. This force did not have any offensive power, but it was extremely weird. It was actually, I want to strip him of the 5 elements law and other principles from his body and plunder them out. Eh? Jason exclaimed in surprise, but Hu Zhong's black heavy sword remained unchanged. His whole figure seemed not to be affected by Ren He, and the sword struck Bowditch directly on the head. How come you? There was fear in the eyes of the 6 Bowditch, and only halfway through what they said, they were chopped into pieces by Jason's sword. Although this Earth Pole North Hades sucker is magical, it robs and absorbs people's essence, blood and laws, but it is extremely crude. Compared with the heaven and earth refining art, it is simply a world of difference. One is pearls and jade, the other is dung. The two are incomparable at all, so how can they treat Jason have an effect? Whoops. With a wave of his hand, Jason pulled out another khaki-colored pillar of law as thick as an arm from the shattered void of Bowditch. He punched it between his eyebrows again and stored it in the God of War tower. The next moment, Jason's gaze fell on the last 3 Jialua people. No, the 3 Jialua people have now completely lost the courage to resist, with trembling eyes, and they shot in all directions at the same time. Want to leave? Can you leave? In the sky, a sneer appeared on Jason's lips. Huh. His body suddenly flashed, and he punched Alfredson and Pasolai each. 2 huge fist shadows suddenly appeared in the void, and they hit both of them, containing terrifying power. The shadow of the fist directly cut through the void, trembling, and bombarded the 2 people who had even lost the courage to resist. Pung! There was no sound, not even a scream could be heard. Alfredson and Pasolai were directly punched into pieces and turned into flesh and blood all over the sky. Kara. Jason finally cast his eyes on Kara, who was running away crazily. He waved his big hand, and a huge palm appeared in the void, directly grabbing Kara and bringing it to Jason. Jason grabbed Jia Luo's neck and lifted it up like a chicken. No, don't kill me. Kill me. Master Atkinson Tower will not let you go. Facing death, Jialua was completely panicked and yelled incoherently. Master Atkinson Tower will not let me go? Haha. Jason couldn't help laughing, but the laughter lost the domineering spirit of before, and even contained sadness. Kara, do you still remember the mainland genius trial? Do you remember Deputy Tower Master Gates and Elder Waterfield? Do you remember the many geniuses in our elixir tower? Jason said coldly, today, you will die. Not only you, but also the master of Atkinson Tower, your spiritual master tower, will surely die at the hands of Jason. As soon as the words fell, an unparalleled terror suddenly spewed out from Jason's chest and seeped into Jia Luo's body. No. Jialua said in horror, his eyes suddenly widened. Pung. Jia Luo's body exploded instantly and turned into a blood mist that filled the sky, leaving nothing behind. Deputy Tower Master Gates, Elder Waterfield, this Jara has been killed by me. I have avenged half of your revenge. I will take the remaining half after I kill the Atkinson Tower Master. You retaliate. Jason murmured as he stepped away, looking at the blood mist in the sky. Huh. After refining the rules from the bodies of Jia Luo and others, Jason landed in an instant and came to Wayne, Hamilton and others. Jason, you actually killed Bowditch, Isolde and 6 of them by yourself. This is so true. Wayne looked at Jason with wide eyes. He was so excited that his whole body was filled with excitement. He was trembling involuntarily, as if he was meeting Jia Jiao for the first time. Over the past year or so, Wayne practiced hard in the Arctic ice fields, and even broke into the Jedi in the extremely cold places of the Arctic ice fields. Finally, he was promoted to the 9th level intermediate level. His strength has improved by leaps and bounds. Even in the hands of a 9th-level senior Holy Spirit Master, he can still last for a long time. However, even so, he is only equivalent to a soul at most. However, Jason has shown his power repeatedly before. He killed 6 people in a row with one person's strength, but there was not even a single injury on his body. What shocked Wayne even more was that he also knew about Jason's strength. The strongest one was the god of death, who used the strength of the 8th-level peak Imperial Spiritual Master to kill Rava concubine Dis, who was an intermediate Holy Master. It was this move he used when he was in the hospital. However, this time, Jason didn't even use his strongest move. It was so terrifying that Wayne was excited and happy at the same time. Another shock. Sharon, are you okay? Faced with Wayne's excitement, Jason just shook his head and expressed concern. I'm fine. Wayne shook his head. Although he had suffered a lot of injuries under the siege of Jiaoluo and the others, at this moment, he had relaxed a lot. Senior Brother Im, how are you? Below, Milton picked up Im, who was seriously injured and covered in blood, and said worriedly. Jason, Imu almost died under the attack of Kara and the others before, and his injuries were much more serious than mine. Please hurry up and take a look. Wayne said hurriedly. Jason nodded, took 2 steps forward, came to the front of Milton, and said, let me see. After saying that, Jason's right hand almost rested on Im's body. As soon as he found out, he couldn't help but frown slightly. The injuries on Imu's body were more serious than he thought. The meridians in the body were shattered, the muscles were torn, the internal organs were damaged, and even the law of cohesion was broken. If this Im was not a 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, and his wood attributes and extremely powerful vitality, I am afraid that he would have died at this moment. But despite this, under normal circumstances, Im wouldn't have long to live. If he persists for an hour at most, he will be defeated. Brother Jason, how is Im doing? Milton asked nervously. Shun, this Im and he are both the venerables of the Salem Empire, and they have a close relationship with him, so they have a very good relationship, which makes him quite worried. Im's injuries are very serious, Jason spoke calmly, with a hint of solemnity in his tone. This Hamilton was stunned for a moment, and looked at Jason and said tremblingly, Brother Jason, aren't you a 9th-level elixir master? Ahem, Hamilton, don't embarrass Jason. Brother, I know my own injuries, and I don't have much time left. Im coughed up a mouthful of blood, looked at Hamilton, struggled to form a smile on the corner of his mouth, and said with difficulty, Hamilton, wait until you see Mike. Grady told him when he was the great sage that I, Im, did not embarrass him or the Salem Empire. Brother Im, stop talking, you will be fine, nothing will happen. Hamilton shouted. Okay. At this moment, Jason interrupted the conversation between the two. I said that Im's injuries are serious, but I didn't say that he can't be cured. Jason's eyes were originally thinking. It became clear, and he frowned and said, Brother Jason, what do you mean? Milton and Im were both stunned. Huh. Jason stood up suddenly. Hamilton, get out of the way. Jason said in his mouth, and at the same time a light flashed in the center of his eyebrows. A bottle of elixir and a cyan pillar of law exuding amazing spiritual power were already there. It burst out from the center of his eyebrows. This is a bottle of elixir that exudes rich life vitality. It has a strong aura of life. Jason pointed out with one finger and clicked on the elixir. Pung! The entire bottle of spiritual potion exploded into pieces. Jason waved his hands repeatedly and used the heaven and earth refining technique to instantly blast the powerful breath of life exploded in the spiritual potion into the pillar of law in front of him. At the same time, a ball of water the size of a fist flew out from the center of Jason's eyebrows again, and a rich breath of life diffused from it. It was the water of life that was also driven into the pillar of wood law by Jason. Boom! The entire wooden law pillar exuded an extremely rich breath of life, and finally Jason punched it into Im's body. Ah. Im suddenly held in pain, his body floated in the air, and he made a crackling sound. The injuries on his body recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few minutes, the wounds on his body healed. That's all healing. Okay, the superficial injuries on your body have been healed, but you have to rely on yourself to create the law in your body. Now you can only use the 9th level low-level strength. Wait for you to beat me. Only after all the wood laws that have entered your body are refined can you return to the 9th level intermediate level. This process will take 3 to 5 days. Jason retracted his hands and spoke calmly. The pillar of law that he had previously penetrated into Im's body was the pillar of law that he had previously extracted from the venerable Alfredson of the Cairo Empire, to heal Im's injuries from the law, and to use the power of life to water to revive him.